The Sweet Deception, how fake cakes are revolutionizing celebrations and challenging our perceptions of authenticity. Welcome to an extraordinary journey that will challenge everything you thought you knew about celebration cakes, authenticity, and innovation. Today, we're diving deep into a world where appearances aren't just deceiving, they're revolutionizing an entire industry and forcing us to reconsider our notions of what's real, what's valuable, and what truly matters in our most cherished moments. I'm thrilled to share with you the insights and innovations of Alicia Garland, a visionary entrepreneur who's redefining the art of cake making and, in the process, challenging our perceptions of authenticity and value. Alicia's journey from stressed out bride to industry disruptor is not just inspiring. It's a testament to the power of thinking differently and daring to challenge conventions. Imagine for a moment the most important day of your life, your wedding. You've meticulously planned every detail, from the flowers to the music, but there's one element that's causing you sleepless nights: the wedding cake. As a professional baker, you know the risks all too well. The potential for disaster looms large. A cake that cracks, slides, or worse, collapses entirely. It's enough to make any bride-to-be break out in a cold sweat. This was the exact predicament Alicia Garland found herself in back in 2014. With over 30 years of experience in baking and decorating edible cakes, Alicia was facing a paradox. She was a master of her craft, yet the thought of creating her own wedding cake filled her with dread. The solution she discovered not only solved her immediate problem, but also opened up a whole new world of possibilities in the cake industry. What if I told you that the most stunning, elaborate, and memorable cake at your next event might not be a cake at all? What if the future of cake design lies not in flour, sugar, and eggs, but in styrofoam, fondant, and crystals? This is the revolutionary concept behind Alicia Garland's business, Cakes Beyond the Realm. It's an idea that turns the traditional notion of celebration cakes on its head, proving that sometimes the most authentic experiences come from embracing the artificial. Now, I know what you're thinking. Fake cakes, isn't that cheating? Isn't the whole point of a cake that you can eat it? Well, buckle up, because we're about to embark on a journey that will challenge these assumptions and reveal how sometimes less can indeed be more, and fake can be more real than we ever imagined. Let's start by considering the traditional wedding cake. It's a centerpiece, a work of art, a symbol of the couple's union, but it's also a source of immense stress. Will it survive the heat? Will it make it through the reception without toppling over? Will it even taste good after sitting out for hours? Alicia's innovation addresses all these concerns and more. By creating faux cakes, she's eliminated the risks associated with traditional cakes while opening up a world of creative possibilities. These aren't just styrofoam blocks covered in icing. They're intricate works of art, adorned with handmade sugar flowers, embellished with Swarovski crystals, pearls, and metals, all illuminated under accent lighting to create a truly magical effect. But here's where it gets really interesting. These faux cakes aren't just beautiful, they're practical. They can be created months in advance, eliminating last-minute panic. They're not subject to the whims of temperature or gravity. And perhaps most surprisingly, they still capture the aroma of a freshly baked cake, maintaining that sensory experience we all associate with special occasions. Now I can almost hear the skeptics among you. But what about the cake cutting ceremony, you might ask? What about serving the guests? Well, Alicia has thought of everything. These faux cakes are designed with an opening at the bottom, allowing couples to simulate the traditional cake cutting ceremony. Meanwhile, guests can be served slices from inexpensive sheet cakes, often purchased from places like Costco. It's a win-win situation. The couple gets their picture-perfect moment, and the guests get to enjoy fresh, delicious cake. But the benefits don't stop there. Let's talk about cost. We all know that weddings can be incredibly expensive, with traditional wedding cakes often costing thousands of dollars. Alicia's faux cakes offer the same visual impact, if not more, at a fraction of the cost. This allows couples to allocate their budget to other aspects of their special day, or to opt for a more elaborate cake design than they could otherwise afford. Now, you might be wondering, isn't this all a bit deceptive? Aren't we pulling the wool over our guests' eyes? This is where we need to challenge our preconceptions about what makes an experience authentic. Think about it. When you attend a wedding, what do you remember about the cake? Is it the taste? Or Is it the gasp of awe when it's unveiled, the click of cameras as the couple cuts into it, the way it gleamed under the reception lights? In other words, isn't the cake more about the experience, the symbolism, the visual feast than about the actual eating? This is the crux of Alicia's innovation. She's recognized that in many cases, the cake serves a primarily visual and symbolic function. By focusing on these aspects, she's able to create something that fulfills these roles even better than a traditional cake would. It's not about deception. It's about enhancing the experience, about creating something even more special and memorable. But let's take this idea even further. What Alicia has done with Cakes Beyond the Realm is not just about cakes. It's about challenging our assumptions and finding innovative solutions to problems. How often do we cling to traditional ways of doing things, even when they cause us stress or limit our options? How often do we dismiss an idea as fake or inauthentic without considering its true value? Consider for a moment other areas where we might apply this kind of thinking. In the world of fashion, for example, we're seeing a growing trend towards sustainable, cruelty-free alternatives to animal products. Faux, fur, and leather are becoming increasingly sophisticated, offering the look and feel of the real thing without the ethical concerns. Is a faux fur coat any less warm or stylish than a real one? Is it any less authentic if it serves the same purpose while aligning better with our values? Or think about the world of entertainment. We happily immerse ourselves in CGI-enhanced movies, knowing full well that what we're seeing isn't real. We don't consider this fake or inauthentic, and instead we marvel at the artistry and skill involved in creating these visual spectacles. We understand that the value lies in the experience, in the emotions evoked, rather than in the literal reality of what we're seeing. Even in the realm of personal interactions, we're seeing a shift in how we view authenticity. With the rise of social media and online communities, we're forming meaningful connections with people we may never meet in person. Are these relationships any less real or valuable because they exist in a virtual space? Many would argue that they're just as authentic, just as important as our in-person relationships. What all of these examples have in common is a willingness to look beyond surface-level definitions of what's real or authentic. They challenge us to consider what truly matters in our experiences and interactions. Is it the literal physical reality, or is it the meaning we derive, the emotions we feel, the memories we create? This is the true power of Alicia's innovation. Yes, she's revolutionizing the world of celebration cakes. But more than that, she's offering us a new way of thinking about authenticity and value. She's showing us that sometimes the most genuine experiences come from embracing alternatives to tradition, from being willing to challenge our assumptions and think outside the box. Let me share with you a story that illustrates the impact of Alicia's innovation. Sarah and Mark were planning their dream wedding, but they were on a tight budget. They wanted a spectacular cake, something that would wow their guests and create a stunning focal point for their reception. But the quotes they were getting from traditional bakers were way beyond their means. They were considering settling for a simple, small cake when they stumbled upon Alicia's faux cakes. At first, they were skeptical. A fake cake? Would it look cheap? Would their guests be disappointed? But as Alicia walked them through her portfolio and explained the concept, their eyes lit up. They realized they could have the towering, intricately decorated cake of their dreams, complete with sugar flowers, metallic accents, and even built-in lighting, for less than half the cost of a real cake of similar size and complexity. And on their wedding day, the cake was a sensation. Guests couldn't stop taking photos of it. The newlyweds had their perfect cake cutting moment. And when it came time to serve dessert, the sheet cakes Alicia had arranged were fresh, delicious, and plentiful. Sarah and Mark got the best of both worlds, a show-stopping centerpiece and a delicious dessert for their guests. But here's the kicker. Months after the wedding, when Sarah and Mark looked back on their special day, that cake remained one of their favorite memories. Not because of how it tasted, but because of how it made them feel. It was a symbol of their willingness to think creatively, to prioritize what really mattered to them, and to create a magical experience for themselves and their guests. This story encapsulates what Alicia's innovation is really about. It's not just about creating beautiful fake cakes. It's about empowering people to have the celebrations they dream of without compromise. It's about shifting our focus from what things are made of to what they mean to us. It's about recognizing that sometimes the most authentic experiences come from embracing alternatives to tradition. Now, let's circle back to where we started, with Alicia facing the challenge of creating her own wedding cake. By thinking creatively, by being willing to break with tradition, she not only solved her immediate problem, but also opened up a whole new business opportunity. Her faux cakes have found a market not just for weddings, but for all kinds of special events. She's expanded her offerings to include edible image cookies and even cookie experience classes for public and private groups. What Alicia's story teaches us is that innovation often comes from personal necessity. It comes from being willing to question the status quo, to ask, why do we do things this way? And could there be a better way? It comes from being unafraid to propose solutions that might at first glance seem counterintuitive or even absurd. But here's the thing. Ideas that seem absurd at first often turn out to be revolutionary. Think about it. If you told someone a century ago that one day people would carry small devices in their pockets that could access all the world's information, they'd have thought you were crazy. If you suggested to a movie executive in the 1980s that one day people would prefer to stream movies at home rather than go to the cinema, they'd have laughed you out of their office. Yet here we are, living in a world where these once absurd ideas are now our everyday reality. And it all started with someone daring to think differently, to challenge the status quo, to ask, what if? This is the kind of thinking we need more of in our world. We're facing unprecedented challenges: climate change, social inequality, technological disruption. The solutions to these problems won't come from doing things the way we've always done them. They'll come from people who are willing to think outside the box, to propose ideas that might at first seem outlandish or impossible. So as we wrap up, I want to leave you with the challenge. Think about an area in your life or work where you're facing a persistent problem. Now ask yourself, what if the solution isn't to do the same thing better, but to do something completely different? What if the answer lies not in refining the traditional approach, but in reimagining the entire concept? Remember, authenticity isn't about adhering rigidly to tradition. It's about being true to values, to experiences, to the essence of what we're trying to achieve. Sometimes the most authentic solution is the one that breaks all the rules. Alicia Garland's journey from stressed out bride to innovative entrepreneur reminds us that creativity knows no bounds. It shows us that with a little imagination and a willingness to challenge conventions, we can turn problems into opportunities, stress into success, and the artificial into something genuinely special. So the next time you're at a wedding, marveling at a spectacular cake, take a moment to consider, is it real? And more importantly, does it matter? Because in the end, it's not about whether you can eat the cake. It's about the joy it brings, the memories it helps create, and the way it makes you feel. And isn't that the sweetest thing of all? But don't stop there. Take this mindset beyond weddings and cakes. Apply it to your work, your relationships, your approach to life's challenges. Ask yourself, where am I accepting things as they are? Simply because that's how they've always been. Where could I challenge assumptions and create something new and better? Imagine a world where we all approach problems with this kind of innovative thinking. A world where we weren't afraid to propose unconventional solutions, where we valued experiences over traditions, where we constantly sought to improve and reimagine rather than simply maintain the status quo. This is the world Alicia Garland is helping to create, one faux cake at a time. And it's a world we can all contribute to in our own unique ways. Whether you're an entrepreneur, an employee, a student, or a retiree, you have the power to think differently, to challenge conventions, to create change. So I challenge you, find your faux cake. Find that area in your life or work where you can apply this kind of innovative thinking. Where can you challenge assumptions? Where can you propose a solution that might seem counterintuitive at first, but could lead to something truly revolutionary? And when you find it, don't keep it to yourself. Share your ideas, collaborate with others. Be prepared for skepticism. Remember, all great ideas seem a little crazy at first, but also be prepared for the excitement, the energy, the sense of possibility that comes from thinking differently and daring to challenge the norm. Because here's the truth. The world doesn't change through timid acceptance of the way things are. It changes through bold reimagining of the way things could be. It changes through people like Alicia Garland, who see a problem and don't just accept it, but find an innovative way to solve it. It changes through people like you, when you dare to think differently, to challenge assumptions, to create new possibilities. So go forth and find your faux cake. Embrace the power of innovative thinking. Challenge conventions. Reimagine possibilities. Because who knows, your fake cake idea might just be the next big thing that transforms your industry, solves a pressing problem, or touches countless lives. Remember, in a world that often values conformity, the true revolutionaries are those who dare to think differently. So be different, be innovative, be the one who sees beyond the surface, who values experiences over traditions, who's willing to propose solutions that might at first seem impossible. The world is waiting for your unique contribution, your innovative idea, your willingness to think beyond the realm of the conventional. Who knows what amazing things you might create when you dare to think differently. So I leave you with this final thought. In a world obsessed with authenticity, sometimes the most authentic thing you can do is embrace the artificial. Sometimes the most real experiences come from things that aren't real at all. And sometimes the sweetest victories come not from doing things the way they've always been done, but from daring to do them differently. Now go out there and find your faux cake. The world is waiting for your innovation. Thank you.